This AIP project is all about assistive technology and twice exceptional students. It is a case study on one twice exceptional student in an advanced place calculus course. The problem is twice exceptional students may encounter difficulties that impact engagement and achievement in the classroom. This is what Halsey et al. Found in 2022. So, in my AP course, my students are expected to complete daily work and to write journals. They need to write a half-page journal on reflecting over their learnings for that particular section. So, students with disabilities have difficulties completing all of the work. My goal is to find technology that would remediate the disability. The first important thing to understand is what is twice exceptional, or 2E. Nicole Megan Foley Nickpan is a leading researcher in twice exceptionalness. She and Asseline found in 2020, they defined twice exceptional as students who are gifted in one area and have a disability in another. And the problem is that there's a lot of ambiguity with twice exceptional, and the reason is that gifted is not universally defined. What is gifted could be different from school to school, from state to state, from country to country. And because giftedness is not universally defined, that also leads to ambiguity with twice exceptionalness because it's giftedness and a disability. Now, the disability could also be with a learning disability, a behavior disability, or even an autism. So, my particular student is gifted mathematically with a specific learning disability. His strengths are verbal reasoning, critical thinking, and solving challenging problems. His challenges are in decoding, self advocacy, and writing. Now, student engagement has a lot to do with achievement in the classroom. Halsey et al. Found that there's a direct link between student engagement and academic achievement. So I looked into that, and there are three main types of student engagement: cognitive, emotional, and behavioral. Students can demonstrate one, they might demonstrate two, there might be all three, or they might not have any. So, one of the troubles with specifically 2E is many times 2E students feel shame because they are smart, but they fail to achieve like their peers, according to Bell et al. In 2015. So, with 2E students may not engage in the classroom because they don't want to feel like they're incorrect about an answer. They keep a lot inside, and so they don't participate. And so my goal is to help them be more confident and able to using assistive technology to bridge that gap and feel more confident and also have achievement in the classroom. So, my first plan was using speech to text technology to assist the writing disability of twice exceptional students. So, Foley Nickpan and Asseline in 2020 talked about how the recommendation is for teachers to remediate the disability while exposing 2E students to their gifted domain. So, for my student, math. And so, my plan is that I'm going to work with him so he is able to complete his journals verbally rather than writing them out because of his writing disability. And so technology would be used to remediate that disability. So what I'm going to do to assess that is to compare the final work that he turns in using this technology compared to the work from first semester. The second plan is using Desmos as a platform where the teacher can build interactive lessons that give students immediate feedback. So Demetriadis et al. In 2021 talked about how students who are strong in STEM fields are not always able to reach their potential. So I could use Desmos to create interactive lessons where he could go on and instead of writing them, he's more of a technology guy. So he could actually get immediate feedback on the lessons. And this way, using the technology, he could achieve more. And once again, I would assess the work he completed from the first unit to this unit. The third plan was to use Satori as a creative alternative to writing homework and journals on paper. And Siegel et al. In 2020 talked about finding meaning in their learning. So my thought was the student could be creative in how he could create stories and of his learning. So whether it's using screenshots or websites or using all sorts of different things, and the student themselves would actually be able to do their own. Every website would be different. Every student could have their own, and I liked that idea. And once again, would compare the work from one unit first semester to a Satori unit second semester. But ultimately, I decided I'm going to go with plan number one. I felt, first of all, Bell et al. In 2015 discussed the characteristics of 2E as learned helplessness, low self esteem, and inability to set realistic goals. This is my student to a T. He likes to create excuses. He's not very confident about some things. And he'll say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that," and never quite getting around to doing it. So I felt that through this technology of the speech to text would be the most effective for my student because it wouldn't just be my course. If we could create some confidence with the technology, he could use it in other courses as well. So this would be the bridge between his giftedness and remediating the disability. So the very first week, I talked to the district coordinator of 2E, and she recommended using Flipgrid to do a recording. Not maybe starting with the speech to text, but start with Flipgrid and just make a recording. Then I met with the student and we talked through the plan for the coming weeks. And I talked to his mother and received her permission to move forward with the study. Then we set up different times that we were going to meet after school where it was just the two of us and it was less intimidating. So the second meeting with the student, we just had a conversation. I didn't want the student to be overly nervous about the technology or the different things we needed to do. I just wanted to have a conversation and make him comfortable with the process itself. So he pulled out his notebook, I pulled out mine, and we noticed that his notebook wasn't very full of notes. So we ended up just using mine. It was a little more detailed. And then we just talked through. And when he'd kind of run into some roadblocks and wasn't quite sure where to go, I just kind of prompt him and guide him along the way to show him kind of what I was looking for with his reflections. The third meeting, we discussed the next section, but this time we recorded it. We still had the same kind of conversation, but we recorded it using Flipgrid. We created a Word document from the recording, and what we did is I took the Flipgrid recording and I took it home and I didn't have the student do it at all. I thought, let me see what I could do with it and what that would mean. So I took it home and this is what I came up with. I found it was kind of a disaster. The voice typing was constantly trying to make sentences, then it would stop. It was trying to make sense of what we were talking about, but it also didn't understand the calculus part of it. So when I just played the recording flat out, it was constantly redoing it. And so it was too awkward going back and forth trying to stop the recording and then go back to the voice typing, and I just couldn't get a real good feel for it. So then what we decided at the last meeting with this, we recorded the conversation with Flipgrid because he actually liked the recording for himself to study. If he found it useful for him to go back and listen, and that was how he was reviewing. But he opened up the voice typing on his Chromebook using Google Docs, and he created the document. So we had the recording going on for him for later and the Google Doc that he could turn in for his assignment. Then he'd do a sentence, and then he could stop the Google Doc voice typing to clean up sentences as we were going through. And this document came out much cleaner. It made a lot more sense. He was able to clean it up as we went through, and I thought this was much stronger than anything he had turned in so far. Because if you compare this one section in this paragraph, this was what he had turned in the very first chapter of first semester. This covered 6 sections of journals where students are supposed to write this much for one section. He did this and called it good for all 6. So the other students had turned in the front page, the back page, the front of another sheet of paper. This is all he turned in. So I felt like what he had done with his voice typing was a success. So in moving forward, I felt very positive about the project itself. He was able to complete work and turn it in. He gained confidence, and he actually started contributing more to the conversation during class time. And he also said he felt like he could use this in other courses when he had assignments to turn in, that was actually more useful than what he remembered. He had tried the voice typing in the past in middle school, but what the middle school teacher did is pulled him out of class by himself, and he isolated him because it needs to be quiet. But as a result, he felt singled out and he was embarrassed. And so he didn't have a good feeling about the voice typing initially, and that was why. And so he felt like moving forward, he'd be able to transfer that type of work to other, not just finishing things in my class, but also to other classes and possibly future college classes as well. Now, the other thing that I was happy about was in thinking through a lot of different plans. I really liked the Satori plan because I felt like that would be a plan. I thought of another student that would be helpful because he's very creative. He doesn't like writing down homework and doing this and doing that, but he likes writing on my smartboard. So he would write on my smartboard, take screenshots of it, and upload it to his website. And so he created a website for himself, and that's something he's going to be able to take with him to college. So when he's thinking back, oh, how did we do this back in high school? He can have access to that now. So I think that's got a lot of possibilities for other students in the future. So overall, I was very happy with the project, and I am excited to see how it moves forward.